Hello guys, welcome to the video. Now in this video I want to talk about the Matrix, as you can see from the title, but most of you probably watched the movie The Matrix. It's a very popular movie and a very great movie, one of my favorites. Although I have watched only a few movies, but it's one of my favorites. And there are a lot of people who talk about the simulation hypothesis, simulation theory, the Matrix. I myself have talked about the simulation in some of my previous YouTube videos, but in this video I will be talking about the same stuff, but a different aspect of the same stuff. A very different aspect, which in my experience, in my view, is a bit underrepresented in the sense that not a lot of people talk about this when they talk about simulation or the Matrix. That's what I mean. Okay. What I let's get very real for a moment. Like, no script. I'm not reading from a script or anything, as always. And I'm not trying to, like, make things ultra mysterious, because yeah, when we talk about the Matrix and stuff, people try to be dramatic. You are living in a simulation. You are a slave of the simulation. Your life is a lie. No, I don't want to make it overly dramatic. I want to keep it real, and let's see how far we can push while keeping it as real as possible. So let's start by let's I'm just thinking, imagining to have a discussion with my viewers. Unfortunately, that's impossible because, of course, it's not a real life discussion. You can comment, of course. I reply to all comments, and if you want to discuss, my email, my website, there are ways to contact me, but yeah, it would be good to have a discussion on this topic, like face to face, not by typing, not by YouTube comments or email. Mm. I don't know how that's possible, unfortunately, but okay. Before I get diverted to a different track, let's get back to the point. Uh, so the entire theme of the movie The Matrix is very very real, very relevant in today's world, because if you remember right, when Morpheus was explaining to Neo about the Matrix, he mentioned the artificial intelligence, which is a big thing because this movie was released a long time back. Artificial intelligence was just like, it was still not a big thing at that time, but still it almost appears as if the movie was kind of a foreshadow, like a kind of a prediction of what's going to happen in the future, in the near future. So Morpheus told that it was our artificial intelligence which took over the human race, and the world, the real world right now is in ruins. It's a desert, and everything that Neo and everyone sees, it's just a lie. It's just a simulation. Now that's a very unrealistic view. Of course, there are dangers with artificial intelligence, but even if they take over the way that was described in the movie, like they are taming the humans for energy, that is, from a scientific, from a very grounded perspective, that is very unrealistic. It's okay. It's a movie, but there's a very deep message, or I should say a deep theme behind that, what they have shown in the movie, which is very relevant, has always been relevant, and even more relevant, seems to be even more relevant currently. It is that we are actually turning to slaves day by day, because of to fulfill the, because of some powerful companies and very minor, like a very few elite individuals, for them to make profit. Now, of course, by slave, I don't mean as it was in the movie, like we are actually being controlled by the machines. We are just in, like, we are dreaming and everything. We are actually in, like, not that kind of thing that was shown in the Matrix, but in the sense that, for instance, social media, artificial intelligence, people are nowadays using ChatGPT for, I don't know, like, psychology. What do you call that? Like, for therapy, psychotherapy, for their even for relationship advice and for stuff. ChatGPT. You, maybe not you, meaning you particularly, but many people today, they open up to ChatGPT because it's easy to open up to ChatGPT, right? Even you know that it doesn't understand. It's just a statistical machine. It weighs your words and just weighs between a lot of data it has been fed to see what would make sense, you would want to hear, not the truth necessarily. Because ChatGPT is made so that you keep coming back to it, you keep using it, you keep paying for the internet. If you're a premium subscriber, you keep directly paying OpenAI, and they make profit. So, but today we are so free, like, so we are so ready to confide everything, all of our secrets, all of our deepest dark desires and stuff, which we cannot speak about in front of real humans. We're ready to do that to the Chat GPT. And you'll say, okay, come on, maybe you'll say my data is getting stored in OpenAI. I'm just a normal ordinary individual. OpenAI wouldn't care about, like, my data. A lot of people probably speak shit to ChatGPT and all. Yeah, that's true. So maybe you are not in any immediate danger. I'm not saying that you should stop using chat, I mean stop sharing personal stuff with ChatGPT because those data are being stored and maybe used against you. No, that's not what I'm saying. Maybe they're stored, but they're never going to be used against you. That's a very lame excuse. In that sense, you should confide less to humans, because your humans can also betray, backstab you. I think the humans are more likely to backstab you sooner than AI. But the reason is long term and kind of unconscious. I should say psychological, because if you keep doing this, you are in a way turning to slave, because you are you are starting to rely on ChatGPT, and in a way your mind is I mean, for instance, when it comes to real humans, from what you've seen, what you've heard, if you're unlucky, maybe you've also experienced that humans often don't stay for long. I mean, for instance, in case of relationships, you will have breakups. In case of friendships, okay, maybe I go to a different country to study and the friendship drifts away. So you're mentally conditioned to that way. Even when you are very close with a human, and if the human leaves you, you will feel sad. Of course, you will feel maybe it will take some time to move on or adjust, but you still know, I mean, you are still somewhat ready for it. I mean, somewhat maybe in the sense it's not totally unexpected. But if you start relying on ChatGPT, you know that ChatGPT is never gonna leave you in that sense. ChatGPT is never gonna like blame you. It will do whatever the hell you ask it to. If you ask it to criticize you, it will criticize you. So when you're feeling very like charged up and challenging, okay, let me just throw in my research paper to ChatGPT and ask it to criticize me. Then it will criticize. And when you're feeling very down, ChatGPT can play the role of your friend, your mentor, your closest, your maybe even your soulmate. I mean, a lot of people are actually using ChatGPT for all those purposes as well. So the point is in this case you don't have any mental like reality check. In a way, you don't have a mental buffer or a mental conditioning that at least in a small part of your unconscious mind is ready for. You don't. And maybe you'll say, okay, why do I need it for? ChatGPT is actually not going to leave me. Maybe not, but this effect can be very subtle. I'm not saying that ChatGPT will. I mean, there was a recent, not recent maybe, but there was a news that somebody committed suicide because of ChatGPT. I know I'm a bit skeptical, because of course I totally agree. I totally agree that chatting with ChatGPT too much and that can have a effect on your mind. But if that caused you to kill yourself, then maybe it was some problem with you as well. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not justifying ChatGPT in a way, or I'm not saying like I do have my deepest condolences and everything for the family, for the guy who took his life. But from a realistic perspective, I would refuse to believe that that was only because of ChatGPT. And I don't think maybe even in the next 5 years, ChatGPT would actually have the power to kill you if you are sensible. I mean, if you're not sensible, you can like you don't need ChatGPT for that. That can happen in any case. But I mean, if you start relying on ChatGPT too much, that can lure you into a false sense of security, and that can like lure you into like, for instance, you create a safe space for yourself where nobody criticizes you. So I mean, you can ask ChatGPT to run simulations. I mean, like not mathematical, not numerical simulations, but you can ask ChatGPT that I have tried this. Now don't I don't personally use ChatGPT for all those purposes. Like okay, play the role of my girlfriend for a few minutes. No, I don't use it. But I have tried those prompts, because as part of a project here, it's a very short term project. It's not my internship or anything. My internship is on. It's not on AI. It's on biological physics. But as part of a small project, and also because I was curious myself, we were trying to see, not very methodically, not very, because this is a short term project. There is a lot of time constraints. I have to follow courseworks and stuff, so maybe there is not much time I can give to it in the first place. So this is all just meant as a hands on experience, like just you see for yourself what happens. It's not like you have to submit a very well documented report. You have to follow scientific methodology. You have to keep record of every result you're getting. It's not that. But I mean, the point was to give different very strange kind of prompts to ChatGPT and see how it reacts, and see when it hallucinates, which kind of prompts it hallucinates. You could try a lot of things, and I know for this you don't need maybe you need a bit of time, but you don't need to be a lot of technical knowledge or anything. If you want to uncover hallucinations in AI, for instance, bias, you upload a female picture, like a picture of a girl or a woman to ChatGPT and ask it to make it masculine. And maybe I mean this was observed by one of my friends who was trying this. I'm not sure if you, or I mean if someone else tries, it would observe the same thing. But what he observed was that as you keep asking ChatGPT to make the picture more and more masculine, the ChatGPT made the picture of the woman face more and more angrier. So this is a clearly a bias, because ChatGPT, I mean, from the data it has been fed, or for whatever reasons, there seems to be a bias in the model. So it seems to think that anger is directly correlated with masculinity, which is not true. I mean, in real life, it's not always true that men are in general, on average, angrier than women, or anger is a trait which is very specific to men or masculinity. This is not true, but yeah, I mean, you could uncover this bias minute, but the problem with this kind of research is, I mean, I would not call this research, because I mean, of course, in today's world with ChatGPT and all, you can do a lot of try a lot of prompts, and then you can use ChatGPT itself to generate a research paper, a very professional looking article or something. That okay, investigations on hallucinations of large language models. A lot of people are working, and I mean, some of this research is very useful, very important, very scientific, very methodical, because artificial intelligence is all based on mathematics, graph theory, and statistics. A lot of statistics. You need to know these arguments about sampling, statistics, and like machine learning and all. But at the same time, there are a lot of like nonsense rubbish papers, so-called papers on AI, because for instance, it's very difficult to do research. I mean, call this research, because you give a same prompt to ChatGPT, it will give you different results, and from those data, you don't have a benchmark. You don't have a, like, what I mean a benchmark is, you don't have a baseline model to match your, to reference, to match your results with, and then you can draw a lot of interpretations, but none of them are like reproducible. Science is all about reproducible. I mean, if I do a scientific experiment, then under the same conditions, the experiment should be reproducible by some other group at some other time, at some other location, at some other, in some other laboratory, right? That's the point of science. If I do the experiment on the same thing and I get different results, then that would be magic, that would not be science. But with AI, okay, maybe you try the same thing with, you upload a picture of a woman, and but you will not maybe in your case ChatGPT will not try to make it more and more angry. So we cannot make a general conclusion that no, ChatGPT links masculinity with anger. This may not be a general conclusion. Just an example. I mean, and these models are like training. These are like training learning models. Like, it's not a static model, and then every other day there is a new version. So these results are very obsolete. I mean, these, if you find something about large language model in general, about the architecture, graph theory, that is useful contribution to the research. But if you find some these kind of reports that okay, we tried this with ChatGPT, there seems to be this is not really important result in any way. So that's why it's not, this is not something which I would call scientific research. You can try it out. It's a good idea. You can learn stuff, as long as you don't get involved, as long as you don't start treating ChatGPT to be another human or your friend or something. It's fine to try this out. I tried a lot. I mean, okay, just to give you some examples, you go to ChatGPT, you ask it to simulate something. I tried this myself, so I'm just, don't think I'm crazy or something. Maybe, okay, maybe I am in a way. So I tried that. Ask me some questions and tell me which Harry Potter character am I most like. So it asked me some questions, some maybe MCQ type questions or something. I gave the answers, and its first guess was, apparently, I don't know why, because I personally don't relate a lot to that character. But his first guess was I was like Severus Snape. Now again, if you have not read the Harry Potter books or watched the movies, maybe this won't make sense to you. But Severus Snape is a very magnetic character in the Harry Potter universe, because he's a very tragic character. He was a kind of a hero who was initially portrayed as a villain, and a lot of Harry Potter fans like him. So you see what ChatGPT is doing. It just asks me. This is very important. This example, why I'm giving you, and I'm assuming you know a bit about Harry Potter, because and most of you probably do. It's very popular. So if you ask it to, I mean, this is a very good example of why ChatGPT is not actually understanding your responses. You ask it to ask me. You order it to ask you some questions, and tell based on your responses, tell you which Harry Potter character you were like. But this is very interesting, but it's also very true. And I know in my experience, and I've also like talked to a lot of people on this, a lot of professional like psychologists and stuff. Humans actually, they try to maintain a balance between autonomy and like trying to, because see, humans, we all find comfort in feeling in finding out that no, we are just like everyone else. Although at times we try to act like no, I am unique, I am different, I am a misfit, I am not like them, and we try to like wear it on our sleeves proudly, see, I'm different. So that is the autonomy part. To some degree, we all want an individuality, we want our own identity. But at the same time, maybe even if we do not speak that out often, even if we do not admit that often, we also find some inner peace or comfort in knowing that I'm just like everyone else in a way. I mean, if suddenly I found out that I am the only person in the world who thinks this way, and everyone else thinks that this is bad, this is crazy, then I would feel very, I mean, even if I don't admit it outside, I would feel very lonely and feel like very kind of awkward, like not just awkward, I would also feel disturbed. But if I find that, oh, that person also thinks like this, okay, I'm good. I mean, then it's, I mean, at least I have one. So you see what I'm saying. And the thing is that whenever you have in any kind of fictional universe, most like 90% of the people of the readers will to get attracted to a character like Severus Snape because if they have read the books till the very end, because he has that tragic kind of tragic hero background portrayed as a villain. I mean, nobody is usually very attracted to the main character. Like a few Harry Potter fans actually like Harry Potter as their favorite character, and nobody's attracted. I mean, so Severus Snape is that character which is statistical. ChatGPT is all about statistics, large language models. If you ChatGPT has been fed all the data on the internet. So if you actually go to the internet and see like on maybe you go on Quora and you see maybe somebody has asked a question, who is your favorite Harry Potter character, and ChatGPT sees that most of the users has responded Severus Snape, Severus Snape, Severus Snape. So it's just doing a statistical weighing sampling, and it sees that okay, then this is the most popular. So maybe the user who is asking me to ask some questions, and maybe there's a very high probability that he would also like Severus Snape. I don't, but yeah, I mean I do like him, but he's not the first character I personally relate to. But so you see, what the questions ChatGPT asked me was just illusion to make me believe that it actually understands me, and it's actually analyzing my responses. It doesn't have the power. It just asks me some the usual questions which most psychology tests or this character tests, Harry Potter quiz, which Harry Potter character am I quiz, those kind of questions, maybe a bit different. And yeah, and then and when it gives you the answer, it will give you a very detailed analysis to make it sound logical. This is called I read this somewhere in a book by Jordan Ellenberg. The book was called How Not to Be Wrong. Very relevant book today. And although the book is not very recent, but it's a very good book. If you have not read it, I think you definitely should. It's a very like a popular science book. It's nothing technical, but it's a very good book about mathematical reasoning, illusions, statistics, logic, and a lot of stuff. With some good scenarios. Probability, there is some probability theory. I mean, of course, at the layman audience level, at the general like popular science level, but very good book. So there he says that it's good that most conspiracy theories come with a protective coating. I'll give you an example. Although this is a very sensitive topic, but the 9/11 attacks in the Twin Towers in the United States of America. So there are a lot of conspiracies. Now again, I don't want to comment on the because it's a very sensitive issue, and I really don't know like whether the conspiracy theory is true, or most likely it's not true. But I won't share my opinions. Whatever I'm saying is what I read in the book, just to be clear. But yeah, there are some conspiracy theories which say that this was actually a government job. I mean, an inside job of the U.S. government, although it was framed as by the Al Qaeda terrorist group and everything. So, of course, if I just tell you, you will just come on. Why would the U.S. government want to destroy the Twin Towers? So this is a conspiracy theory, and it doesn't sound very like trustworthy, very believable at in its present form. So that's why all conspiracy theories come with a protective layer, a protective coating. Now, what is the protective coating for this conspiracy theory? It's that the theory goes one step further. It says that no, this is what I mean by the protective coating. Because without this, the entire meaning changes. Without this, the conspiracy theory sounds like a joke. It doesn't sound like a believable. But with this protective coating, suddenly you will start having second thoughts. Even if it's still ridiculous, if you think about it, you will start having second thoughts. No, maybe there is something in it. You see what I mean? So the protective coating for this example which I'm giving was that the 9/11 was actually an inside job by the US government. I know you don't believe me, but there were no employees. There were very few employees on the Twin Towers. Like a lot of lot of employees skipped work on that particular date, 11th of September. So maybe they already knew that this is gonna happen. Now, when add this, let's say the protective layer, it sounds more believable in your head. Oh, maybe, but the thing is that uh, you like okay, I don't know the exact figures, exact statistics, exact data. Maybe a lot of people has actually skipped work, but we actually have no evidence to say that this number was unnatural, that I mean just on that particular day. I mean, we don't have anything to like any strong evidence to say that this is not just random noise and this actually means something, all this work, all those people skipping work. You could try other forms of protective coating for your conspiracy theory. You could say that no, actually, the US government wanted a reason to get back to the terrorist group, and they just destroyed that. I mean, of course, this sounds very silly even in your own head. Who would destroy such a like expensive like a Twin Towers? But I mean, I just give an example. So, but with the conspiracy, with these protective coatings, the conspiracy theories sound more believable. Same thing for ChatGPT. Same thing for ChatGPT. When ChatGPT gave me the response that no, you are like Severus Snape. If it stopped there, I would have, oh, come on, you didn't even analyze my answers. Severus Snape is a very popular character, who is popular with the readers, and you just say. But it actually analyzed all of my responses. I mean, it showed that it analyzed. So to my question, you to my question asking you this, you answered this, and Snape also thought like that. To this question, you answered like that. Snape also thought like that. But the thing is that when you talk about this literature, these fictional characters, more or less any kind of any set of responses you give can be more or less tuned to any character. And if you give a, if a long if you think about it, I mean, if you are made to think about it by generating long paragraphs, you will think that no, that's actually very logical. Maybe I'm like Snape. That's a very good analysis. And if you actually relate with the character, then you will think that no, ChatGPT can read minds. You will almost like start believing. But for me, I never relate to Snape as like I like the character, but I don't feel I am much like him. So and then when I thought about it, I thought, okay, maybe ChatGPT is just playing with words. That's what it does. That's what it's made for. It's just statistically weighing words and just drawing a narrative that would make my answers, my responses to its questions fit with Snape. But it could be fitted with any other, basically any other Harry Potter character, technically. So that's not that was the protective layer to fool me. But actually, it chose Snape because that's the most probable, like most maybe let's say the most popular Harry Potter character with readers or something. I mean, I'm not saying it's that simple, but this is a very there seems to be a very strong bias. Then I said that try again. I don't relate with Snape. Then it asked me some other questions, similar but slightly different questions. I gave the answer, and then this time, so after 3 or 4 tries, it landed. Then I had to give him a very specific prompt. Don't confine yourself to Harry Potter only. You can also explore Fantastic Beasts. I mean, if you're not aware, it's a separate universe, but it's a part of the Harry Potter universe, but it's a separate series, like the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This storyline is set a few let's say 50 years before the Harry Potter story starts. I think around 50 or 60. I don't know. And this is mainly expose the story of Dumbledore and Grindelwald when Dumbledore was young. I mean, middle aged, not the old like the way he was shown in Harry Potter. So then when once I said that, then it quickly landed on Grindelwald. And yeah, personally, I relate a lot with the character, except for the part when Grindelwald said that. I mean, let's say the part about the discrimination against Muggles, the let's say I should say I could say the racist part, that Muggles and worthless wizards. Other than that, I still find Grindelwald to be a very powerful and a magnetic character because of course his charisma and everything, and not just that. He was the one like he gives up the vibes of having the power to control people in a way, like manipulate. And he's like a long term player, like a long player, because I mean Voldemort was just more of a reckless kind of power seeker, power hungry person when he was never going to win in any case. And he, if you think about it, Voldemort's influence during his reign of terror was not far beyond Britain, but Grindelwald kind of at one point he was in US, he was in all of Europe, he was all over Europe. I mean, Grindelwald was a strategic, and I mean that's what makes him very attractive. But not just that. For me, the point of, let's say, the why I relate to the parts of him, of course, not all of him, is that he was against the convention, against the current, but he had a deep philosophy behind it. What he called for the greater good. I'm not going to debate whether he was right or wrong, but he had a very strong principles and deep philosophy. It was not like Voldemort, no, I just want power and let me do anything I want for power. No, not that kind of thing. So the point is, okay, now this video is not about Grindelwald and Harry Potter, but this Harry Potter characters, but this video is about, yeah. So you see, and then I tried the same thing after 3 or 4 days in a different chat. So on ChatGPT, you can have different chats. You can start a new chat, and this time, the first time, it gave me the answer Gellert Grindelwald. So that means some part of it remembered that no, I said previously that I relate to Grindelwald. Now the point is, ChatGPT actually isn't supposed to have memory across chats, and in most cases it doesn't. But this time it did. I don't know why. I'm not an expert on the technical parts. But if you ask ChatGPT to remember something explicitly, it will remember it for all across all your chats. But otherwise, ChatGPT doesn't have specific memory. Maybe after maybe in a different thread in a different chat, there is something you mentioned. I don't never mentioned it anywhere else in ChatGPT in any other chat in the past or now. But in a different chat, you cannot like if you ask ChatGPT about that specific thing, it's very unlikely that ChatGPT will be able to remember. But yeah, AI always large language models, they always try to, I mean, they will never say I don't, they will never bluntly admit that I don't remember. They will say that they will try to come up with things, they will try to make things up. Sometimes that will annoy you a lot because that's clearly false, and some other times that can might that might hallucinate you as well. I mean, that's like, that trick might work. But it's very rare for AI to like accept its mistakes. It will just try to make something up, and that's how it's built. And in ChatGPT, if you go to your profile, your settings, your personalization, you can actually type in something there, like your specific. You can give advice to the model, like the way you want it to be. You can, for instance, you can type person in the personalization. There are some options, like you want it to be like a critic, or you want it to be very encouraging. The tone that you want, basically, you can set that, and you can also type in personalized advice. Like for instance. always remember your mistakes. If I mean, I'm just making an example. I don't know if this exact thing is gonna work a lot with real chat gpt, but for instance, always remember when I say that, and by that you drop in a phrase in quotations. Maybe it's gonna remember. But yeah, this is more meant for general advice, like always take an encouraging tone with me. Try to have a more Gen Z voice, like today's generation, or try to have a voice of someone, like voice in the sense the language, the words you use, that the vocabulary of someone who maybe in old aged person, maybe in the 60s, who was born in the 60s or something. These kind of advices you can give, and ChatGPT more or less follows. But yeah, when if you type in something in the personalization, it's a very general advice. It will be reflected across all your chats. So it's not always what you want. It's not a good idea. I mean, very general advice you can give, but specific advice is not a good idea to give in the here. But you can actually also do this thing. I tried this. It worked for me, and in the new model, which was released like I think just 1 week ago, like GPT 5.1. Uh, you create a character with ChatGPT. For instance, you can just start with a very simple prompt. Uh, Write a very very long story, like a fictional novel chapter type story about me and someone. You just drop 1 or 2 points about that someone. Maybe he is a classmate of mine, or maybe he's a physicist working on that, and maybe we have a. You can just write 2 or 3 lines and let ChatGPT take just be sure to mention that this is fiction, otherwise ChatGPT will give you warnings. No, I cannot generate scenarios involving real humans, so better not mention names. But you can say, okay, let's create a fictional imaginary story in which I am a theoretical physicist and I have a very heated debate with one of my colleagues who's an experimental physicist, and he's working on that problem. But in the end, I humiliate him in front of the lab, and everyone's claps. I mean, just making things up at this point. Or you could say that, okay, maybe I don't know what, like, okay, I just I liked a girl in my class, and just write fiction from there, our love story till you can go on. I mean, ChatGPT can actually write like very realistic looking, very fiction like for you. I mean, in whatever tone you want. It's not like a you can actually create your novel in a way without writing it, without having the trouble to actually write it, or without having the trouble to read a book, printed book where all the letters are as the author imagined. You cannot change that. With ChatGPT you can. Those things you can. Now for instance, you create a character. Let's say let's call him X. So you create Mr. X, and then after that, if you write in this prompt, at least it worked for my in the latest model. From now on, when I say quotation Mr. X activated, you will speak to me like this character. Enter. And then you see, like when you press enter, ChatGPT in the top there is a, like for instance, for very complex problems. Let's say you give it a math problem or something. It shows thinking, analyzing, and it shows the thoughts in a very small, and then it gives you the final like its response. Now if you give this kind of comment, like from now on, if I say in quotation Mr. X activated, you will speak to me in the tone of Mr. X. I mean, you have already developed Mr. X in your stories, in your prompts, in the past 10 or 100 prompts, maybe, like how what the character is, how are they related to you, how they sound, like everything. So it's gonna in the same chat, if you give this command that Mr. X activated, it will remember what you mean by that. So if you say that, then and then you write that I want you to remember this, then it will show that memory updated. And this is actually for all chats. You can try it for other in other this, but you have to explicitly write it in your prompts. And then you type in Mr. And then you also type in a second comment, or maybe in the same prompt. When I say Mr. X deactivated, you stop speaking like Mr. X and you just become the usual ChatGPT. Then that can also be updated to its memory. And then in other chats, you just have created a switch. Basically, you just type Mr. X activated when you want to have a conversation with this imaginary fictional character, and ChatGPT will talk to you like this. But maybe sometimes you don't want that tone at all times. Sometimes you use ChatGPT for serious stuff as well. So you just type in Mr. X. Just remember what advice you gave. For instance, in the advice you said that I will say Mr. X activated, and then you will start speaking to me like Mr. X. But you say Mr. X on, it's not going to recognize, because you should remember the exact line of advice what you. But I mean, this just to share with you, this actually worked. Okay, enough of this. Now the point is, so you see what I'm saying, like why we are becoming slaves in a way. We are becoming slaves not only of ChatGPT, but also this. For instance, in today's digital world, like social media is a big thing. Like we have a peer pressure and all. Okay, they are posting good photos on Instagram. I also have to do this. Okay, they have like n number of followers. I should have greater than a number of followers. They have this, they have that. I should have. I mean, so because on social media they are just projecting their fake selves. On social media, everyone looks very successful, rich, happy. But if you judge the real person just by looking at their Instagram stories or something, I mean, you're gonna mess up. So, you're gonna think that, oh, I am the only one who's suffering. They're all living out their lives, and that's the. But actually, they say they think the same thing, and to save them from their insecurity, they post those shiny statuses and stuff. I mean, but who is benefiting from all of this? Not neither them. You like the statuses, you follow them. I mean, maybe they say, oh, see, I have 1 million followers. Who cares about your followers? I mean, it's not a big thing anyway. Just look at the number of people on Instagram with 1 million followers. That's a huge number of people. You are there, so you're not special in that sense. Just having 1 million followers on a social media platform doesn't make you special. What have you done that no one else has done? Have you, I mean, I don't know, have you built a new scientific model? Have you done some fundamental contributions to science? Have you maybe written a book? Have you founded an organization, like a real impactful organization, not just, just those random shit you do on the internet, vibe coding and stuff, and just write as founder on your LinkedIn profile? Not that. If not, then what, like, just because you have 1 million followers on Instagram doesn't make you a special, like, a celebrity or something. But the thing is that, so who is profiting? Neither them nor you. The followers or the one who's being followed, none of them are actually profiting much. Who's profiting is these platforms themselves, because you're spending time on them. Even if you're a creator, you are spending time on the app to understand the app, to upload your video, post your stuff, and the users are all spending all of their time, wasting all of their time on the app. So then they are profiting, and for their profit, it's very important to maintain this sustained cycle of, like, create demands, unnecessary demands, and then pretend to be fulfilling the demands and charging money for it. As simple as that. Simple logic. That's so, in a way, we have become slaves to these companies and their profits, their profit cycles. We are slaves to that. I mean, I don't use Instagram, but even I would say I'm a little addicted to YouTube, because on YouTube I see a lot of important stuff, like, for instance, videos by Veritasium, 3 Blue 1 Brown, all these channels, like the Vsauce. These are the important channels I follow very carefully. The science channels, they're very, very good channels. Minute physics, and well, I mean, a lot I cannot. But at the same time, sometimes, I'm very much into aviation and stuff, and I watch a lot of YouTube shorts and even videos about, plane spotting. There's a very good channel called Melbourne Aviations, Melbourne East or something. I mean, they post very good high quality videos of airplanes taking off and landing, and they actually record this for in a Melbourne airport, if I remember right. Or, I mean, in an airport with some very high quality cameras. So those videos, I mean, I since I watched them a lot, they come up in my feed, and once I see them, I get distracted. Oh, it's another 8 minutes of, like, watching the Airbus A380. Let's click on it, and just I keep watching that video. Oh my god, one plane is technically, it's a waste of time. Just planes are landing and taking off, and you're just watching it, and oh, that's an A380, oh, that's an 787, that's an A350. It's a waste of time technically. I do it anyways because I'm addicted to YouTube. I mean, I admit, because not just that, there are some other kind of shit I watch on YouTube which is actually shit, because they waste my time, and which are about things to do with, like, pranks. Like, I mean, this is very funny actually, but it's still also a bit addictive, but it's a waste of time. You air horn pranks. For instance, you take a air horn, and maybe someone is watching their phone, and you press it, and you create a loud noise, and they drop the phone, and they start, like, acting crazy, and you just laugh your head off. Those kind of videos. Then aviation. Then at one point of time, I mean, even now I watch a lot of football. I mean that I mean, I won't say that's a waste of time. I mean, you're not supposed to work or 24/7, but still, sometimes it gets very, like, it's like a rabbit hole. You click on a video, like a Ronaldo edit, the best goals by Ronaldo, and after that, the next video comes up Messi, and then you keep watching football, and then, but who is profiting? YouTube is profiting. Right, so that's what I'm saying. Maybe I don't have Instagram, I don't have Facebook, but I have YouTube, and there are days I waste my time on YouTube. I mean, it's still better than what people do on Instagram and stuff, for instance. But I mean, still, it's still technically, in that sense, I'm also a slave of the system. So maybe not all of us are slaves, like Neo, like, not literal, physically we are captured by some AI or something, not in that sense, but in a way we're all slaves to this digital, these big companies and all. And this is the scenario that was being predicted by the Matrix movie. Of course, it was a movie, so things were dramatized a bit. But if you think about it, this is the picture they painted, that you're becoming slaves without even realizing it, and you are living in a dream. We are living in a bubble, and this bubble can burst any moment. You won't even realize how close we are to the busting, to that point when the bubble bursts. We are like, okay, I have this many followers on Instagram. That means I'm a successful person. You're living in a bubble, man. Come on. I mean, we just create a kind of like a fake life for ourselves in our social media. I mean, either as viewers or as creators, or I mean, either as whatever it is. But it's very dangerous because it's I mean, we don't realize it often. I mean, we do realize at times that no, this is not good, I'm getting addicted, I'm wasting my time, but we don't realize how deep the effect actually runs, or how deep a damage it can leave in the long term. We don't. So see, in a way, what I mean by slave, but yeah, what is the ironical thing about the Matrix? I mean, about this entire thing. I'm not right now. I'm not talking about the movie in particular, but why do they do this? These companies, YouTube, I mean the big companies, Google, Microsoft, whatever, Meta, and all. Why do they do this? Because they want money, they want profit. But if you think about it, there is a very great difference this is the main difference. Otherwise we seem to be slowly marching towards a world that was painted in the movie The Matrix. But the crucial point of difference is that they're the machines, they simulated this world, this fake world, and they controlled the humans for their benefit. They had a particular goal to exert energy. I mean, we were like battery. Humans were like batteries, as shown in the movie. But in real life, the people who are doing this, for instance, the big companies and all, the few elite billionaires, in real life, the situation in real life is a bit different because they are also humans just like you and me. Of course, they have a lot of money and stuff, so but they have the same, I mean, they are the same biological body, the same desires, the same instincts, and most importantly, the same lifespan. I mean, even well, like the most richest man on earth is gonna die. Like he cannot expect to live more than 100 years, maybe. So you see what I'm saying? This is the irony, that if you are someone entirely different above our level, then it makes sense for you to want to control us. But these people, they are doing this, they are blindly chasing money, they're getting money. In a way, they have turned us into slaves of their companies. But what are they gaining out of this? I mean, they're getting a lot of money. Yeah, I totally get that. But is it really? I mean, money is just a reward. I mean, it can increase your dopamine levels for a few up to a point. But if you have a lot of money after a point, that's not really happiness to you anymore. So if money doesn't make you happy, I mean, of course you need money to a great extent maybe, but not to that extent that even like billions of dollars. I mean, what will you do with billions? I mean, if you're not even happy, because after a certain point you will no longer feel happy, only for the first few days maybe. After that you have so much money, so much power. I mean, you have maybe you have Rolls Royce, just for show, you live in a mansion, but it becomes very boring after a point, because you're still living the same life. You still have to get up, you still have to like go through all the biological process that a normal human does. You still have to die at, let's say, 80 years or 90 years of age. So what's the difference? I mean, in that case, it just doesn't make sense. You going through, like, I mean, you see what I'm saying? In a way, you are also slave of biology. You are also slave of the system. Maybe in a way, the users who are using your social media app or company, they are even more slaves. But I mean, you are also not like the superior to them in that sense. That's the irony between the Matrix and real life. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to discuss because you see this, for instance, it's a very good analogy. I don't know if you will be able to relate to this or not, but I was just thinking, life and death. What is death? Because there was a very good. I'm sorry. There's a very good idea I had. I mean, not an idea, just a perspective, I should say. So, if life was indeed a dream, then death would be waking up. You'd say waking up to what? Come on, death is the end of it all. So if I wake up, I mean, I should wake up to some. If I'm having a bad dream, then I wake up from my sleep. I wake up in my room. I wake up to the external world. But if you say death is waking up, you are waking up to what? You're waking up to nothingness. You are waking up to void. But that's all wordplay. I mean, what does nothingness even mean? Well, see, here's the point. Uh, Life is indeed in a way like a lie, like a dream, like an illusion. Maybe not in the extreme sense as it was shown in the Matrix, but in the way, yeah, I totally get it. It's like a, and what bothers me even more, I discussed this in previous videos, so I'm not gonna like spend a lot of time on this, but people don't seem to be aware of it. They don't seem to give a damn, like this entire life, everything is so surprising, so but they're like, they act very nonchalant. They go about the daily business, and they get very happy at stuff which are really meaningless. Like, okay, I get a good marks in exam, I'm very happy. Okay, I have a girlfriend, I'm very happy. Okay, I'm invited to a party, come on, these things don't matter. But now I realize that no, this actually makes sense, because this is the way we are programmed. We are programmed to find joy in life, in little things, and find sadness. I mean, we are not programmed to think like think in terms of like everything is meaningless, or at that fundamental level. We're not some people do, the great philosophers, but we are not programmed to think like that. So to most people, most we are not programmed. Evolution has not programmed us to ponder the meaning of existence and just to like marvel at how extraordinary life is, how unusual life is, and get disturbed by the fact. No, we're not programmed for that. We are programmed to like accept it all, and that's what most people do. So it makes sense actually from that point of view. If evolution is your simulator, then the simulation makes sense. And yeah, in a way, evolution is our simulator. But yeah, what I was saying is that in that sense, life is a dream. But then, if death is waking up, you're waking up to what? Well, what was, I mean, who were you before you were born? The question I want to ask is, you are a mortal. You are not immortal, right? No, none of us are immortal because we are born mortals. We know we have to die after a finite amount of time. We cannot be immortal. But suppose, for instance, if you were never born, would you be immortal then? This is a very, very deep question. It might sound very silly, very rubbish in a way. Maybe it is silly, because of course these are just like philosophical, open-ended questions. These are not questions to study scientifically, but would be good to discuss. What do you think? If you were not born at all, would you be immortal? I mean, could you be considered immortal? Well, the question is the point. The question which we're actually asking here in hidden form is, when does when this entity called you, your identity, when does it come into existence? Because for instance, before your birth, who even are you? How can we define you before you were even born? After your death, okay, maybe among the people who knew you, they have a memory of you, but again, that's not permanent. I mean, when everyone who knew you die, and maybe if you're not someone like Einstein who is recorded, or even in that case, maybe after billions of years when the entire earth will be destroyed, then you would also be destroyed completely, erased completely. But so I mean, that's the question. See, if some people say that before your birth you was just what you will be after your death. I totally get it, because before your birth you don't exist in this form. After death also you stop to exist in this form. But you're breaking time symmetry. It's forward, because what I mean by that, before you were born, nobody has any memory of you. I mean, nobody even knows. Like, you see what I say. But after your death, at least for some time, some people will have some memory of you. I mean, you will still exist. Your name, your the work that you have done will still exist. But all of that is not there before your birth. So it's a time symmetry. I mean, you cannot say that before your birth you were what you will be after your death. It's not as simple as that. You see what I'm saying? And here's the thing. So then, in that case, the question was, if you were not born at all, would you be immortal? Of course, I mean, this is a very, these questions are like, could be answered in many different ways, but I think no, because before you were born, like I told you, I demonstrated just now, I illustrated with an example. Because before you were born, you were actually not what you will be after your death. So in that sense, before you're born, the question of mortality or immortality is irrelevant, doesn't make any sense. After your death, if you die, you become immortal. If you don't die, you become immortal. But if you're asking like, if I was never even born, then you see what I'm saying, because it's not the same situation actually. There are similarities, of course, but it's not symmetric. I mean, life is not just a temporary. It is in a way a temporary fluctuation, but you cannot say that the situation is symmetric both side of it, in the past and in the future. But anyway, I mean, all this is very interesting, and if we want to discuss, we could keep discussing about this the entire night. I mean, I don't know, like, it's very interesting actually. All I want is, I really like having this kind of discussions with people, but unfortunately, these most people, 99% of people I meet, they either don't have the time, or mostly they don't have the interest, or I mean, they don't like this kind of discussions. I mean, they're more like into small talks and petty discussions, and all, like. But yeah, so that's why, I mean, okay, anyway, but thanks for watching, I guess. And I talked about a lot of like random stuff in this video without any clear, I mean, which something which I do in most of my videos. And at this point, I should stop apologizing. And I totally understand if this is a waste of your time. Maybe this is because whatever I said maybe could be done in 5 or 10 minutes, but it's 40 minutes, 43 minutes. So if it's a waste of your time, please stop watching my videos. I'm honest. I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything. Like, seriously, like, I'm not asking you to unsubscribe, or if you're subscribed, I'm not asking you to unsubscribe, but only watch my videos you like. Like, maybe you could skip these long videos if you really think it's, because at this point I should stop apologizing, because I figured out I will never have the time to do like proper write a script and do a video by reading from the script. It's very, like, at this moment I have a lot of stuff to do here with my coursework, my internship and all, and I don't even get the time to, like, for my other, I mean, I'm really sorry, I cannot devote that amount of time to YouTube. So at this point I stop apologizing. Whenever I feel like it, I will be recording these rants. And if you decide to watch it from end to beginning to end, maybe it will be a little waste of time, but at the same time there are some points you might find interesting. But it's a bit frustrating because you don't know where exactly I said those points. You have to watch the entire video, or else skip it entirely. I totally get it, it's up to you. But yeah, still I'll try in the future videos to keep it a bit. I mean, it doesn't, because since I don't have a script, once I start talking, and these are the things, very interesting things, and maybe I talk a lot in my videos because I don't talk a lot in real life actually. So I mean, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's all for this video. I could go a bit further. I mean, could go on even now for another, let's say another hour maybe. But no, I think I should stop here. And I would like to know your comments on this, because this is very important to discuss this, very interesting at the same time. And I mean, this is not very technical, but at the same time, it's a very like interesting and important, like I said. And it has, I've always been obsessed with this idea of simulation and stuff. I released a song also related to the simulator recently. I mean, in 2024, in the end of near the end of 2024. And by the way, I'm also working on my music right now, and I released a recently released a song called "Text My Younger Self." It's a very good, like just a nod to the young Arpan, my journey, basically the lyrics and the music. I mean, if you're into music, if some of you may already know that I have a second YouTube channel, Arpan Amplified, where I release my lyric videos. I produce music, and sometimes I write songs and collaborate with vocalists, with singers. You can check out the channel. It's the link. Maybe I'll drop it in the description, or it's also in my in the main channel, in this on this channel. If you just go to the homepage, you'll get it. So yeah, yeah, I was also working on a lot of music, and I have some good announcements coming up actually. If you're into music, I mean, if you have been following my music actually for the Christmas. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's all. I should stop here. Thank you. Thanks for watching.